Trust me, the big companies love it when they raise minimum. Amazon loves it. Walmart loves it when you raise minimum wage. Keep saying raise minimum wage. They don't have a problem going from $13 to $15 to $20. They could care less if you keep doing that. Because they're going to raise their margins by 20% or whatever it is and make the money back on the back end. They're not dumb. You're still going to buy it. We're still going to buy it. We don't have a choice. But it's going to put that guy across the street out of business. So the more small businesses go out of business and fewer small businesses we have, the more these big companies are controlling us. Like, this whole thing with banks going out of business and Chase bought a couple of them and these guys bought a couple of them. This is helping the bigger guys. Jamie Dimon's sitting there saying, oh, you know what? Let's keep raising and we have to do the responsible thing. Because the bigger guys get to buy the small community banks or the regional banks. This favors.
This is true. I think a lot of people, when they say raise minimum wages, they don't really think about how it's going to affect the economy. I'm saying this as somebody who worked minimum wage jobs coming up. I'm based in the US, so I used to, when I started working, I wanted to work from a very early age. I believe it was 13 or 14. You're allowed to start working in the US. I was working, boom. And that's when it was $5, I think 20 something cents or $5.30, working from that and trying to core and put together that money. So I understand, and I understand the pain of wanting to have more money. However, when it goes up, that also means now as a business owner, right, I can pay my people more, and I do. My people make a lot, considering they make a lot. I deal with a lot of smaller business owners that's starting. I talk to a lot of people. And when you start a business, so many things go wrong, right? And if you have to compete with high salaries, or you can say, hey, I can't pay below a certain amount, it inhibits you from taking risks or even opening up the business. Right now, you can't hire somebody because, hey, this is too prohibitive. I can't afford that, because it's not just the employee expenses. You also have to pay their taxes, right? You also benefit sometimes. So these are things that people don't realize that go into the formula. And small business owners don't have that capital to compete at that time. And a lot of times the higher your expenses get, the riskier is your position, right? And the more you have to make to justify those expenses. So what increasing minimum wage really does is push out a lot of small business owners, right? They can't jump into the market because they have to be, or they're just going to be a lot of solo one-person shops, which we don't want, right? We want more diversity in the market. We want people to feel like they can open up their business rather than they have to go into a company, because that's better for the consumer. So what you're thinking about when you're saying push up minimum wage jobs, if you don't at least limit that for small to medium-sized businesses, then you're going to push and shut down a lot of small and medium-sized businesses, or they won't be able to grow, which is going to eventually lead to these bigger businesses. They're going to limit their workforce, right? They're going to start looking for it. They won't hire people as much as they would otherwise, right? They'll just say, you know what, we're paying this, you need to be more productive. Or I want to see X things. Some companies have trackers running on their people. They're going to make the money whether they charge the customer or they're making sure the employee is doing way more work to justify that. They're going to make the money back. It's a bit harder for smaller businesses to make that money back. Or, which we're seeing now with a lot of the big companies, which is why, even though they push it, I don't think people really understand they're getting into the robots, right? Automation that's coming in, right? Instead of, okay, $20 an hour times 40 hours a week, that's $800. Plus I have to pay some state fees, maybe $900,000 per employee. Okay, I can do that. Versus I can rent a machine that won't complain. I'll show up almost every day. It's $400 a week. Do I want to have a $400 thing in McDonald's, right? Where instead of you talking to cashier, now you're putting it in, right? Do I want to invest in my app where you can pre-order just off your app and I don't even have to have a machine, just need to have some IT people, right? Looking at it and making sure it is connecting to the right store. So in the people saying that this is going to create more opportunity, especially big business, they're very smart. They know how to control their capital, right? What it's really going to do, in my opinion, is hurt a lot of small and medium-sized business owners, and at the end of the day, really hurt the worker. Or the people trying to get entry-level jobs, because then you'll just say, hey, instead of this, why don't I hire somebody who has 10 years experience instead of get somebody who just graduated college or somebody who is in high school, etc. So these are things to think about, right? I'm not saying my answer is just for everything, right? I don't want it to be looked at that, hey, across the board, you never have minimum wage. I think that there's bandwidths to everything, right? But I do think we need to evaluate it from its perspective of what's our reason for doing this, and will this actually work? Will this actually work in this current market and in the future market to come? Okay, so that's all. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I know this can be a very politicized topic, a very emotional topic. Do you agree, disagree? Something that I'm missing from this room, something that you say, hey, I really hit spot on, I would love to know. Also, if you have any videos or any topics you'd like me to comment on, please share them. If we do use them, we'll shout you out in the video, or we'll shout you out somewhere. So let us know, share that below, right in the comments. And finally, you can DM them to me too. If you don't want to be associated with it, you can DM them to my team as well, and we'll look into that. And finally, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with whoever you think will find this valuable. God bless you and your family.